the living entities are frustrated. But it is there by constantly conversing about the Lord. Kathayam chastamam cham, and the bodhayanta parasparam, by the enlightening, the mutual enlightening amongst the devotees. Then that tushyanti charamanti, that tushyanti, satisfaction, great satisfaction, and ramanti, great bliss, can be tasted. So when a devotee tastes, an aspiring devotee, he tastes these things, tushyanti charamanti, then he will never fall down into material existence. And that's the difference, because that tushyanti and ramanti, that is not present in this dharma, artha, kama, moksha, because there's such an degree of selfishness, involved in it. So we will not get that taste. That taste will not fully manifest by following the Vedic way as it is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So that is why Srila Prabhupada, lastly he says that, as advised in Bhagavad Gita, if one transcends these four processes and is actually liberated, one engages in devotional service, then he is guaranteed not to fall to material existence again. So that's ultimately the intelligent position, to be able to grasp and you can say proceed on the path of devotional service, and thus be guaranteed that one does not have to take in a material birth again and revolve in so many 8,400,000 species of life. That's actually one's own self-interest, best self-interest. So that is what the Bhagavad Gita advises, and we are eligible candidates, even though we are conditioned in many different ways and our past is less than glorious. Then all of us are actually eligible candidates to pursue the path of devotional service. That's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That's the mercy of Lord Krishna. He opens it, and Lord Chaitanya, he comes personally to teach it by his own example. So we are actually all invited. It's simply a matter if we are eager enough and if our eyes are open enough to see it, to see that path, and to very enthusiastically and determinedly embark upon that path, engage in that devotional service. Then we can have the guarantee that we will not fall down again into this pool of repeated birth and death. So, since we have today the appearance of Lord Nrsingadev, I thought to try to speak a few words about the relevance of Lord Nrsingadev's, the pastime of Lord Nrsingadev, how we can meditate upon that, how we can think about that. Some thoughts on the Lord Nrsingadev's pastime. So, one very important aspect of Lord Nrsingadev is that he is protector of the devotees. Like Prahlad Maharaj is put into so much difficulty by his father in so many ways, but Prahlad Maharaj, he never bothers about his own protection. He simply seeks the shelter of the Lord and smaranam, he meditates upon the Lord. And through all the difficulties, he passes unscathed. Like through being thrown into attacked by the personal, you can say, soldiers or guards of Hiranyakashipu. They order him to kill him, but their weapons, have no effect on Prahlad Maharaj. And we hear that Hiranyakashipu, he ordered even his son to be thrown into a pit of snakes, of deadly poisonous snakes. But the snakes could not bite Prahlad Maharaj because the super soul was in their heart and said, "You don't bite this, Prahlad Maharaj." So the snakes, they were peaceful. They didn't feel like at all biting Prahlad Maharaj. And the elephants, Hiranyakashipu ordered Prahlad Maharaj to be thrown under the feet of great elephants. But that also did not harm a hair, you can say, on the body of Prahlad Maharaj. And Hiranyakashipu, he ordered what Prahlad Maharaj to be thrown from a cliff. And in so many ways he devised, and he was frustrated, and he became anxious. How is it that all these things I'm arranging, but still, you know, he seems immortal, like that? And then he became afraid. So Prahlad Maharaj had to be so many things were there. But Prahlad Maharaj, he never deviated his mind from meditating on the form of the Lord. And ultimately, when Hiranyakashipu, he became so angry that he personally decided, I will personally end his life. I will personally, kill my son. And then, when Hiranyakashipu, he was about to actually attempt to kill Prahlad Maharaj, then, when he struck the pillar in anger, then Nrsingadev came out. And then, you know, he showed himself as the protector of the devotee himself, personally. Already he was protecting Prahlad Maharaj. Like, how is it that the weapons of the demons, they didn't have any effect? How is it that the snakes, they did not bite Prahlad Maharaj? And how is it that the elephants, they could not trample Prahlad Maharaj? How is it that the fire couldn't even burn Prahlad Maharaj? Why? Because the Lord was protecting him constantly. But even though the Lord was protecting him all the time, still he wanted to personally come and show how he's protecting him. So that's actually, you know, the real boon upon Prahlad Maharaj. That the Lord is giving protection for his devotees, you know, constantly. But in the case of Prahlad Maharaj, then the Lord came personally to show that he's protecting. Now he doesn't need to do that actually. He doesn't need to come personally. He doesn't need to, for any cause, he doesn't need to personally manifest himself in this material world. After all, he can be happily situated in Golok Vrindavan, you know, and not come here and show himself to all the fools and rascals who are just envious of him. You know. But for the case of Prahlad Maharaj, he came personally to show how he's protecting the devotee. And that he did, and he killed Hiranyakashipu after a great fight. After a great fight, he killed Hiranyakashipu. So, this aspect of the Lord as protector of the devotees, this is actually an important point of meditation when actually we also think about the path of Bhakti Yoga. As we know that a devotee, he relies fully on the protection of the Lord. As Rupa Goswami, he says that one aspect of, or maybe the most important aspect of pure devotional service is that it is devoid of karma and jnana. It is favorably executed. Pure devotional service is favorably executed and it is devoid of karma and jnana. So, a devotee, he takes full shelter of the Lord and he doesn't rely on the process of karma and jnana. So that is actually one sign that we actually developed pure devotional service, that we don't rely on karma and jnana for our protection. Karma and jnana, if we translate that into like practical terms, that means that we don't rely on our bank balance actually. That we have that particular faith that simply by discharging pure devotional service, then all my material needs will be satisfied. I do not have to individually, personally cater to my material needs. Like I don't have to go out of my way to make sure that my body and soul is being kept together and maintained. So that is actually a sign of full faith in the protection of the Lord, that simply by doing His service, that He will give all protection. So that's actually a nice meditation on Nrsingadev, because he is actually the incarnation which comes to give personal protection from danger to his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. So we should know that the Lord is capable of manifesting such a you can say, appearance, such a display of protection. So how is it that he's all so powerful that he cannot protect this small servant who is endeavoring his best, his honest best to serve him? How is it that he will not give protection? So that kind of meditation we should have, and we should try to, as much as possible, decrease our dependency on karma and jnana. As much as possible, try to engage directly in the process of devotional service, not being irresponsibly, not like in any way just neglecting our responsibility. If we have any kind of responsibility, like maintaining family, it's not like we have to be very sensible and act under the instruction of the spiritual master. 3, 3, 4, he. So karma and jnana. So we spoke about karma, that's fruit of activity, like depending on one bank balance one may say. And jnana, depending on the speculation of one's mind, like I have to figure out. I cannot just accept from Krishna and from the pure devotees what is absolute truth, what is the process of devotion. I have to speculate. So the tendency of the mind to speculate, that's also one thing which is not favorable for devotional service. And which is actually, we're not relying on the protection of the Lord, relying on the faculty of our own mind, about the speculating capacity of our own mind. So these are anarthas, these are, you can say, things which need to be given up. And we should know, to fully rely on the Lord's protection, that means to kick away this attachment to karma and jnana. So this is a point of self-reflection. We have to ask ourselves that question. We have to engage our intelligence, and we have to ask ourselves the question, how much am I relying on karma and jnana? And how can I rely less on karma and jnana? How can I be more surrendered? How can I be a more surrendered soul? To engage more purely in devotional service. That is a question we all need to ask ourselves. And if we cannot see that so easily, then we have to take help of an advanced devotee, like the spiritual master or advanced, you can say devotee, who can act as a Shiksha Guru for us, and then we can get some indication of what should we do, Because it's important we take the direction from a higher authority, because we may act whimsically and make some mistakes in the process of devotional service, and do some, which we wouldn't necessarily have to make if we take some nice instructions. So, so this faith we're interested in developing, ultimately, that simply by engaging in devotional service, then all our needs will be met. That is called pure faith, pure shraddha. So that pure faith is desirable, and we should try as much as possible to develop this pure faith in the Lord and the process of devotional service. And then ultimately we will see our ultimate destination, which is the spiritual world, where Lord Krishna is, Goloka, and which that place is one having gone, that one will never return. So I will end here and ask if there's any comments or questions to what was said. Hare Krishna. This one.
You could maybe elaborate on this eligibility for a devotional service, because what is an eligible person to take up the path of practice?
Well, thank you very much. That's a very nice question. Because the constitutional position of the living entity is Jiva Swarupa Hoy, Krishna Nityadas. Every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. That is one's real occupational duty. So because we are by nature the servant of the Lord, then simply if one desires to serve the Lord, then one is encouraged. So it's simply if you want it, actually, then you're eligible. You may be the worst of sinners, actually, like Jagai and Madai, it's explained about Jaga and Mother that there wasn't a sin that they had committed. But still, because they, surrendered, they understood that here is the Supreme Lord, by extreme mercy of Lord Nityananda, who came and he just barged into their lives. He just came and entered into their lives. They were drinking, and they didn't have any idea, okay, now where's the Krishna, I will surrender now. They were not at all in that consciousness. They were just lying, drunk. And then Nityananda comes, just barges into their lives and say, you chant Krishna. So like that, they didn't even want it. And they became angry even. And they, hit Nityananda on the head. So it was only when Lord Chaitanya he came running with that chakra in his hand and they could understand, now we're dead, now we're finished. Then they surrendered, because they understood here's somebody who we need to be afraid of here. We can kill anyone. We are so strong dacoits, we are strong robbers. We don't need to fear anybody. But this person, we know, he can finish us off. And then they surrendered because of fear of Lord Chaitanya. And then they were benefited. They could understand that they fall into this position, and they willfully took up the process of devotional service. So the point here being that Jaga and Madhava, they were extremely engaged in extremely sinful activities, but still they were granted blessings to take up devotional service because they surrendered. So for ourselves, in the same way, the Lord he barges in, like we have the book distributors, they're going and barging in people's lives. They're going, meditating, I'm going home now, I'm going from my office, I'm going home, and they're just meditating what they will watch on television this evening. And then the book distribution barges into their lives and they, hey, you take this book, it's about, how to be really happy, it's about to be, this is really for you, this book is really for you. And just somehow or other convince that person to take the book. And that's like barging in to a person's life that he doesn't have any idea to surrender to, may not have any idea to surrender to Krishna, but because by good fortune that person may take that book and he may read it, and then Krishna just comes into his life by the mercy of the devotee. And simply if that person that said, okay, I should do this, what is said in this book, this is actually what I should do. And then by that desire to want, okay, who is Krishna, what is this devotional service, how do I attain it, how do I get it, simply that's enough. Then you're eligible. Simply if you want it, because the constitutional position of the soul is to be an eternal servant of the Lord. So simply if we desire it, we are eligible. So that's the point. The sinful things that can be destroyed. Is that yani kani chapapani. Just by walking around Tulsi. More sins than you can perform is destroyed. So the sinful life is actually not an obstacle. It is simply what is needed is our desire, and then by that desire, all that sins that can be purified. We may have to struggle a bit for it, because Krishna, Maya knows that okay, this person he was conditioned, he was engaged in sinful life, so he has some attachment for it. So Maya Devi, she may test you very severely. No, are you really ready to give it up? She will show you again these things that you have to leave in order to develop pure devotion, because you can't have both sense gratification and Krishna consciousness. They don't go together. It's like fire and water. So Maya Devi, she constantly puts the sense of it before you and says, do you really want to leave this? Are you sure? And then that determination. You have to go from desire to determination. Because Maya Devi, she will test your determination, that you're actually really sincere, that you're serious. Because her job, as Keshav Priya, she nicely said yesterday, her job is only to make sure that nobody who is unqualified, they're not sufficiently qualified to enter into the Lord's abode, that they enter. So we are being tested through the fire of Maya Devi. She's testing us through fire and really, making sure that we are actually properly qualified. So we can just thank her that she's doing a nice job. And we have to meet her challenge. We have to be strong and be capable to say no to the sense objects, and then take shelter of the Lord. Because if we just say no to Maya, no Maya, no Maya, no Maya, and if there's no please help me Krishna, please help me Krishna, if that is not there, then we will not be able to to maintain that, to abstain from Maya, to say no to Maya for a long run. But if we take very much shelter in the holy names, and if we take shelter of the devotees, like I said, that this association of devotees, like sadhu sangha, is like a strong fort. Like if you keep yourself in a strong fort, then you're protected. As soon as we enter out of the strong fort and just on our own, then Maya, she becomes very big and very fearful, and then she can knock us down for some time. But if we keep ourselves in the strong fort of devotee association and sincerely try to chant the holy names, then Maya really, we are protected against her. So in that way, if we keep ourselves in devotee association and then just build up our determination and our spiritual strength, so we can keep on saying no to the offerings of Maya and keep on trying to pushing for devotional service, then ultimately we will be qualified. And then the ultimate eligibility at the end, that we will be able to enter into the spiritual world, that will be attained by our sincere endeavor and the help and the willing help, merciful help of the Lord. So that is all possible. It's simply a matter of desire and then determination. But we have to go from desire to determination. We have to become serious. Then we can be ultimately eligible to go back to the abode of the Lord after this body is finished. So, Hare Krishna, I would say. I think Yeshua Mataji had her hand
I
up.
was just wondering about this, that the Supreme Lord protects us completely. Because it seems like Prabhupada had many disciples who, one went to Germany alone, another one went, they went all over the world single-handedly, and there was such a level of unusual surrender. But then we see that that some of these devotees, say later on, more depend on the pension, like that. Can you elaborate a little on that? Because we hear and we are supposed to just hands up, and then Krishna will take care of us in any stages of life. So, but then again, we also hear that in our society we have not always been able to, protect the cows, the women, the old people. So how does all of this
it can be, it may be a source of doubt sometimes. We see that, like sometimes we may see that a very senior devotee that exhibits behavior which is not, in line with the principles of pure devotional service. So that's of course is a cause of anxiety for those who are new, because they think, if I practice so many years, what will make the difference? Will I fare any better? So that's actually it's an uncomfortable point. Like, it's not very nice, but yes, it is there. We see it happening. So Prabhupada once he said that don't be surprised who leaves, be surprised who stays. Because this aspect which you touched upon yesterday, this point of Maya Devi's testing the devotees, that test is very, very strong. It's a severe test. You have to be very determined, extremely determined, to be able your whole life to protect yourself from accepting again, from grasping Maya Devi again. Because we've been attached so many lives, immemorial lives. We've been hankering after Maya Devi. We've been catching Maya Devi, trying to catch Maya Devi. The shadow, chaya, of the eternal potency. So that attachment is extremely deep. So if we commit some mistakes along the path, it's a razor's edge. If you commit some offense against a devotee, like that, or if you just give a little finger, you can be deviated from the path. So what Prabhupada says that, don't be surprised who leaves, be surprised who stays. That's a sobering wake-up call for us, that we need to be very much careful. So if we simply do that and understand, and don't curse them who did, because everybody's going to be put through a severe test in order to be able to go back. So don't curse them. Just think that, okay, they were knocked down temporarily, but they'll come up again. They made a wrong turn, but they will come back because they're in the book of Prabhupada, in the book of Krishna, and he will help them come back. And like that, if we have that might help us to overcome this doubt that we may have by seeing this. So, I think we can take a few more questions. This is a fascinating. We're not taking prasadam, so I think we can continue a few minutes. Those who wish, they may leave at this point, but I think we can go on. There were more questions, so we think we can take that. Jai, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. Actually, like you said that we need to meditate, like Prahlad Maharaj, God himself came to protect him. So my question is my devotional service is pure, and if I am in a danger that I can die, so is it very important to survive, to live? Because God haven't said that I need to pray to him for 50 years, 80 years, this kind of. So if I am in a danger, should I survive, is it very important?
If you're in danger, what should you do basically? We can maybe rephrase your question to say that. Or how does a devotee respond to danger that threatens his life?
So
Can we say like that?
Is it very important to live? If my devotional service is pure and if I die, then what happens? Should I pray to God to help me to survive? Why?
Well, it's an interesting question. We may actually look at one thing is Prabhupada gave an instruction that one should try to protect one's body. One shouldn't just, because the body doesn't belong to us. It's Krishna's body. It's engaged in devotional service. So we have some obligation in that sense that we have to protect this body. So this body, as long as life is in it, for as long as duration as it had, that it should be engaged nicely in devotion, do some useful service for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, spreading the Sankirtan mission here on this earth. So in that sense, the body has some value. It can be engaged in devotional service. So we take care of it, we maintain it nicely. And if there's some danger, like whatever we can to protect it, we do. But still, if the death you see is inevitable, you can't do anything, then you just would open out, here's Krishna. Like Prabhupada, the bombs were, there were like a bomb attack or something like that, isn't it? And Prabhupada said, I'm ready to die. If the bomb comes as Krishna, then I'm ready to die. That is Krishna coming. So Prabhupada had it, he was ready to die. And we see actually some very exalted devotees, they actually have this concept that they're ready to leave their bodies. But they're not afraid of death like that. But for us, a practical thing for ourselves is that we understand that this body doesn't belong to us. It's engaged in devotional service, we're attempting to engage in devotion. So we should maintain it nicely, and we should give some reasonable protection. Not that we go out and buy guns like that and build ourselves like an armory like that. It's not necessary in that sense. But, we maintain the body nicely, and if there's some danger, we don't invite it, we don't go to Afghanistan, to some devotees, they may go to very dangerous areas to preach, but we try to, sensibly protect, commonsensically, deal with this body, this material body. Did that make any sense? Sense to you?
Yeah, as I said, like, okay. Then
Take care of the body nicely.
To devotional service again.
Don't neglect your physical body. It's a property of the Lord, and you engage it nicely in the service of the Lord, and then you live your life, according to the instructions of the devotees of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, what he says that we should do in devotional service, and follow the example of the devotees who are already practicing devotional service. If you do that, then you'll be all right. Yeah. That's it. So, go to time.
You mentioned this, that devotional service should not be tinged